today I'm just going to ramble about early game formations in the early stages of your Vanguard game. The beauty of that, the beauty of your grade 2s and grade 1s clashing on your opponent's either grade 2 or grade 1 Vanguard. Okay, I feel like this stuff is kind of basic, but you know, if you learn something from this, it's great. If you don't, that's fine. I feel like a lot of these things are pretty just, you know, you kind of know what it is. It's innate. It's inbuilt inside you already as a Vanguard player. When you see a 10 plus 8 column that equals 18k power, that's bigger than an 8k Vanguard. You know, that hits a magic number. I feel a lot of this stuff is like inbuilt, but now I get to tell you guys. I get to talk about it. So let's just kind of begin and kind of, I don't know where this is going to end up, but maybe it'll be pretty cool. So first off, we have one of the more common types of you know, early gameplay, and that is the lone swing, the lone ranger, the lone Vanguard. You commit nothing onto the board. Your ride line doesn't call anything out. You don't want to commit anything from hand. You're just swinging with your Vanguard. And that's it. What is your best? What is the best play against this? Well, you obviously guard early, right? Everyone says to guard early, and that's pretty much, I think, one of the best ways you do this. This thing is either swing like 8 or 10k depending on your grade. No matter what grade your opponent is, if they went first or second, it is a 15k guard will save you from everything except the OT. For all these scenarios, also we don't really have to think about the OT. If they get the OT, it's gonna break anything, right? You're not committing a PG that early. Just eat it. Eat it like a man, okay? If they trigger an OT this early, it's probably good for you too, because you don't have to worry about it later. But yeah, so just throw down to 15k to guard this. It will save you some more hand later, because you know, guarding early generally is better than guarding late. The only time you won't want to guard this is if your deck requires that 1 CB to function. So let's say if your ride line requires a CB, you might just want to take it. But that also means you're playing a pretty bad ride line. The other thing is, if you are a deck that needs that CB to play in early games, so like a Caterpillar, for example, that requires 1 CB for the wisdom plays. If you are that, then taking that is fine, because that means you can slap back on your opponent even harder, possibly even harder, maybe. I don't know, it's up to you. And then if they trigger a crit, right, I have to think of the worst case scenario, and usually these worst case scenarios are like, okay, I don't guard this one attack and they trigger a crit. If my deck is focused around that early game rush, it means that if I take that second damage and use 1 CB next turn, I won't get damage denied, because one of the biggest counters to early game aggression is controlling your opponent's CB, so that unless you're a deck that doesn't require CB to function or a way to countercharge out of it, the way to counter the early game aggression is to like stop your opponent from getting any counterblast. So if you get that second counterblast, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You can use that counterblast on your like grade 3 turn, for example, because you're not stopped. So you can just keep on going. Your steam never ends, right? Never stop. I guess the next step up from this would be like if you boost your Vanguard. What does this do? It makes it so your Vanguard is like an 18k, or maybe like if you get a plus 5k. So if you get a plus 5k on your Vanguard, or you get a boost, like any of these situations, even this, it means that you're less inclined. Your opponent is like less inclined to guard the Vanguard column, which is pretty good. It means you're kind of pushing damage, right? You're pushing damage at like an incremental pace, right? If you throw down 1, it means they can't guard. That means they're likely, if you're going second, for example, when they reach a grade 3, they'll probably have like 2 damage, which could be good for you. And if you got any crits, then you know you've accelerated the game state. So I feel like kind of boosting, or if your Vanguard is able to get power to kind of push that extra damage through, is a good thing to have. So you can kind of see the importance here. Boosting means that your opponent cannot throw down a 15k to shield guard anymore, effectively guard. They have to throw more, which means it's like more inefficient. So if you have the cards to like kind of commit, I think that's a good play. Also, this booster column, like right here, this guy, he can't be attacked. It's very hard to get rid of it unless your opponent is playing like a retire based deck. So most of the time, the back row one is pretty safe. Just you kind of want to know your matchup so you don't like kind of screw yourself. If you play down like a Moe Flash, for example, and then your opponent retires it, no more Moe Flash, you're screwed, right? So know the matchups, but I think this boosting the Vanguard is pretty good. Now, the other common thing that people do is they throw something in the front. So something like this one. They kind of two lane you, right? You know what? If you boost the Vanguard, it's like one full lane. This is like 2 lanes. This is more like a poke though, right? Throwing down the 2 here is kind of like a poke. What is the theory behind this? There's 2 ways to do it. I've seen players do both. One is that you have a place to put your triggers. So if you swing Vanguard first, you trigger a trigger, you can put it here, and that's like extra pressure, right? That's kind of greedy. That's like a more greedy play because like technically, even if you get a trigger, if they 15k shield this, it's like it's still a guard, right? It's not the end of the world unless you boost. The other way is like you poke with your grade 2 to swing in to kind of just get rid of one of their cards in hand, like force a guard there, and then your Vanguard swings, and then you get like you get to deal a damage. But there's also another way that you do it where like if they can commit the guard here, I mean commit the like a 15k on your Vanguard, then they might just take the the first poke, just because like the first poke is like 1 damage. The Vanguard swing could be a crit, but if you can 15k shield it, then you know you're confirmed to take like 1 damage. So there's a few ways you can play this. Largely, it will depend on your opponent's hand. If they have the 15k shield, I feel like it's better just to take the 2, and then you can kind of confirm guard the Vanguard and not take too much damage. Otherwise, if you take the 2 and they get a damage trigger as well, your opponent can now be greedy and then just like no guard the 2, and then you know you're at a good state. Or they can just play it safe and only have to commit a 5k shield for like a full swing deflect. Okay, that's a better way to put it. So yeah, I feel like this is a very common play, and I feel like the best way is like just to take the 2 and then commit like a shield here on your Vanguard swing, and then maybe you might get lucky, right? You might get lucky and take a trigger, and then this doesn't hit. They don't get a trigger there. Worst case scenario is like you take this and they get a crit here when you no guard, and then you go to 3, and then you cry. But you have to kind of like, again, Vanguard's all about how to take risks, and this is kind of how like you know this is when you're playing the game, this is where you have to evaluate the risk. To make it like easier though, if they commit like a booster already and they do something like this, then the play is just to guard the 2. Like just guard this, right? Guard it, don't and just take this, because you're like this column you're not guarding this one, right? You're just gonna take it. This is gonna hit your face. They're taking this one, right? So you guard this and then you take this. Make sure life's on. But this if they've committed a booster and they do this is mainly there to just kind of like steal a card from your hand. The other one that they could do is maybe they didn't commit a booster behind. They commit a booster behind like the side column, something like this. Then if they do this, they're gonna swing with like their Vanguard first, and then this side. So you'd probably just guard this, and then you can take this. Because again, you have to think of the worst case scenario where if you no guard the Vanguard and they get a crit, or they get any trigger, this side becomes very big, especially if you're only on grade 1, right? If you're only on grade 1, then this becomes unblockable, so you're taking extra damage. So if you can 15k shield this grade 2, and then kind of evaluate if you want to take this. If it's 1 damage, you'll generally take it. Even if they get like a trigger that is not a crit. If they get a crit, then you go like, oh, do I want to take the 2? And then you kind of look at your hand and go, okay, I might want to commit my cards to guard this side then. But yeah, this is more of a weaker play. Usually this kind of setup happens if your opponent's Vanguard can get plus 5k. So this now becomes like way more scary. And you have to remember, like, shield values in D are usually between 5ks and 15k. My hand, I don't have 3 hands, but they're around like 15k, right? So anything that can like hit the 10k, make 10k shield is already pretty good. But the 15k Vanguard column is very scary because your 15k doesn't stop a your 15k shield doesn't stop a 15k Vanguard, because that is still penetratable by a crit or trigger, any trigger, right? So this kind of setup is like way better if you want to commit a booster to the side, because again, like, you know, you can effectively guard here, but then if you get a trigger and put on this side, you've like taken 2 damage at least. So yeah, that's kind of how you can see like Vanguard getting 5k is like very, very good. It's equivalent to getting a trigger. Like if you put a booster, if you put a booster like this, it's kind of the same thing. You know, it's kind of the same thing. Like this is also a dual lane scenario where where like they've committed like full dual lanes. This kind of maybe happens if your ride line calls out a grade 1 and then you commit 2 cards. Or like, I don't know, like if there's a Surgeon here, for example. Whoa, I've specifically put it a Surgeon because Surgeon or plus 5k grade 1 boosts are so good in the game. If something like this onto a grade 1 is already pretty scary, right? If you're grade 1, you went second, and they're grade 2ing you like this, you're like kind of no guard, right? You just know you're just gonna eat at least 2 damage, and then you hope you get a trigger so that you can maybe guard 1, right? That's the play. But yeah, if like a plus 5k Vanguard or a booster here, this is already pretty scary. But let's kind of talk about maybe the most common kind of setup, and that is, I like to call this the L formation. Why? Because it looks like an L. Maybe the Surgeon is not there. The L formation lets you have 3 attacks already at grade 1. Grade 2, and if you go second, like there's many different ways to tackle this, but the main thing that this enables you is that you have 3 attacks and you have 1 column that is like hitting good numbers, that is very scary, and your opponent has to decide if they want to guard these 2 small attacks. This is very like different from the way to guard this is like very different from, let's say, something like a like just a normal tri-lane, right? So if it's like this, then I think what you'd probably do, like they normally attack by one of their side columns first, and they might want to attack with their Vanguard. So it'll be like 1, 2, and 3. This will be the poke. This one's the poke, and this one is the greed. So this one can get a front, and then you put a trigger here or something like that. So at least like 2 of their attacks are threatening, and you might want to guard one of these. I think in this scenario, you can no guard the 1 and try to like luck sack your way out of the 2, because that is like a huge swing. Like no guard this. Otherwise, if you think about like if you guard this and then like no guard this, and this gets a crit, then you take like 2 damage. I guess it's not too bad. It's not too bad. But you'll see why like the L is better, because if you get a trigger here and you put on here, this is still kind of guardable. But if you put a booster, let's put the booster back. So put booster here, this now becomes very scary. So like the L, like this is a natural progression in like the formation, because a lot of ride lines nowadays like calls a card out, or you have cards that call other things. So this is not a bad, especially when like in Keter decks. This is why we're running Keter. The L formation is like so familiar. What players would do with the L is they would just swing again with this one first, and then this one to put the triggers here, right? So you have a combination between like the previous one we saw, the small L, like the small L. But now like you have a lot of there's a few ways to guard this. So first off, like let's think about the theory as the recipient of all this damage. First, you can like no guard the 2 and then confirm guard this one. So this will mean like if you get a trigger here, then this kind of negates this, and then you can also like 5k shield this. The problem is like this still goes through, right? This still goes through, which is really annoying. The other way is like you guard this, and then you no guard this. Right, you no guard this, but then if they get a trigger, right, you're having that same situation before where life just sucks. You're taking a bunch of damage. So this is why the L is so good. Well, don't take L's. Just give L's to your opponent, right? That is pretty much the most optimal way of attacking, by the way, like 1, 2, and 3. If you attack with your Vanguard first, then are you just banking on fronts? Like, don't bank on fronts, There's another formation that kind of does the front strategy better. This is like this. If you attack with your Vanguard first, it's like the super greed idea, where you hope like you get a front and then like max value. Okay. I think the L formation is one of the harder ones to guard, because there's like so many things that can happen, especially when you open up the triple lane. So like for example, if your hand is like not good, it's full of 5Ks and you have like no shield value. There's like 2 ways you can guard, right? First is like you guard this, then you no guard the Vanguard, and then if you get a trigger here, then you can like 5k guard this, right? So you take 1 damage kind of thing. But then if they get a trigger, then you take 2, and if they get a crit, you cry. The other way is that you just kind of if you just no guard, just like no guard this, and then hopefully you get a trigger somewhere here. If you get a trigger like on the first swing, then like it's good. Then this will require trigger to go through, and then this one is just a 5k guard, which you can kind of throw. And that's like a 1 card expenditure for like only taking 1 damage and guarding 3 attacks. That's like really, really nice, right? When you have like more shield value, then you can kind of play it up to you depending on like what you can throw away. So you can shield this. You can like 15k and then 50, well, whatever. Just normal guard this, 15k this. And then depending on like what they get here, you can like just take it. If it's a crit, then you know you'll be doing 2, which then you might think, okay, you don't want to throw. But after this, even if they get a crit on this swing and they put it here, like you're probably taking it anyway because you're already throwing away so many cards to, like kind of guard. But this way you're only taking 2, and if they don't get a crit, then you're just taking 1 damage, right? Which is pretty good, just staying pretty low. You have to like also consider that if you don't have a lot of shield in your hand, like let's say you only have like 1 15k one trigger right in your hand to guard, no matter where you throw the trigger, right, it's you're gonna still take damage. There's no other way to put it. So you kind of need a half decent hand to like properly guard this, but there's not exactly the correct way, because most of the time as well is that it's not just gonna be just 10 and 8k vanillas when they're hitting you. It could be like a Surgon back here, or anything that gets plus 5k. Then you know the boost here becomes like you probably just are gonna let this through and then guard these 2 instead. You go back to that kind of play, just gonna let this one through. Also, anything again that gives Vanguard 5k just makes this, you have to guard this and then just see how this goes, because life is really, really hard. So this is like the L formation. There's another formation that also is like a 4 card formation, and that is what I like to call the T formation. So the T formation here, because it looks like a T, you'll have 2 pokes and then 1 big swing. Your Vanguard is gonna go through. The T formation is like usually one where either they all go face, like they'll go one on the sides, go face first to try and poke things out, or they go rear guards to kind of snipe their rear guards, or it's like, you know, the first one snipes rear guard, the second one goes face, and then it's like an extended, it's like a half T formation. It's like the extended mini upside down L formation, you know, like a fake Tetris block. So it's like +1. It's like the third, this is the 3rd wheel, okay? Or is it the 4th wheel? This is the 4th wheel, all right? But this is like, you'll mainly see this to like have some rearguard snipes and then do the poke and the Vanguard swing. Rarely you do like Vanguard because that just makes no sense. Because your Vanguard's likely going to hit anyway. They're just going to no-guard the Vanguard. If they get trigger, your sides are ruined. But yeah. I guess there is a scenario where this attacks and then you go this to kind of put triggers here. I think that kind of sucks. You see this in premium as well, where like you swing face, and if they get a heal guard, then you go here and it still goes through, kind of thing. But yeah, the T formation you don't see as much, but it is a letter, so we have to call it something. And this one is just, yeah, again, mainly there to like snipe off opposing rear guards if they like heavily committed too much, and then at least get a confirmed damage to face. The other, I guess, the next 5 card kind of play, a natural progression here. We put the thing here, and this is like a, I don't know, it's like a B formation, a Q formation, or it's like a 5 card formation. This will be similar to like if an L formation with 5k, right? Because it's back to the you can't guard stuff at all. So anything like this side will probably swing first, right? This will swing first. Guard this, no guard the Vanguard, no guard, yeah, no guard, and then just see how this one goes. Sometimes I'll put a Surgon again. Let's put back the Surgon here. If they put a Surgon there, then this side is going to be hard to guard. You're going to need a trigger to effectively guard this. But yeah, this is much more easier to guard than the other. You're no way going to commit like any card on the Vanguard swing, and then if they didn't get a trigger and you have the hand size to kind of deal with it, you can kind of 15k guard and just take 1 damage. But if they get a trigger, you're probably no guarding this. The other one that you probably see as well is something like maybe you guys will now know what it's called because you've been hearing me talk about all this random jank, and that is I'll give you a second because I need to figure out how to press the buttons. This is the end formation. So the end formation is also pretty easy to guard. In my opinion, it's pretty straightforward. Their side columns are big. Their vanguard columns small. Their vanguard is gonna swing first. This guy is likely gonna go first. Just guard this. Throw down a 15k to guard this, and then see how these sides go. Right? If they get a trigger, then it's not guardable. Like, don't guard the one with the trigger. And then if they didn't, then you can probably like take the first one. Like take the first one that swings. If they're both the same power, take the first one and then see if you want to get a trigger there, and then you can kind of easy guard the second one. But usually, again, like the end formation has like a plus 5k on the vanguard circle. So this would be rough. This is like you're kind of taking this, and then you're hoping for no fronts. Otherwise, yeah, if one column has like a big column, then you could 15k the center. And then guard this and just take them. Always think about, like, if the numbers are too big for you to guard, just take the hard one to guard. Right? If you need to commit 2 cards to guard, you'll need to think twice. You need to think twice about if you want to guard or not. And then I think the last formation we're gonna see is just like when they go kind of full send it. They full field. They rush you. They full rush. I don't know what other way to say it. Like full blast. Maxi burst, extreme versus, I don't know. Like, if someone does this, okay, their hand is probably small. You're probably going to attack rears. You're going to control their board a lot, kind of thing. They're going to swing Vanguard first. Like the previous one as well, they're going to bank on a front. A front's going to really wreck you here. A crit's also going to be really scary. Any trigger is going to be really scary. But you're going to no-guard the Vanguard. And the side, you're going to see how it goes, right? This is no guard this, and pray, okay? Pray for no triggers. And then you might be able to guard some of the sides. Even, like, the problem with this one as well is even if you get a trigger, everything else should be hitting for over the threshold. If one of these is, like, actually a grade 1, like, if this is a grade 1, then maybe not, then the situation changes. But if they're all hitting numbers, like in this scenario, then suck it up. You're gonna need some luck, and then you kind of have to play the controlling game, right? The controlling game. If you're grade 2 and it's this, then if you're grade 2, right, then it's just no guard and pray for a trigger, and then all these things are shut down. So this one's actually not like the last few ones that I've shown you is probably not that you don't need to think much about it, right? It's just kind of go, well, let's play Vanguard. But I guess the harder one, the one that has the most variation, is just the L formation. Yeah, there's really no other formations. I guess maybe there's one where it's no, there's actually none. I don't think there's anything else. I can't think of any other weird scenarios you can do. The only other one that is maybe like this one, where it's the anti Nubatama or something, like 3 Honolly in the back row formation. That doesn't exist. That doesn't exist in D. So don't worry about it. Or it's like I called too much stuff and I don't want my opponent to like attack into my sides. I want damage. That's this formation, the reverse T formation. So anyway, that's kind of like all the formations you'll probably see in the early game. And I definitely don't really do a good job of like telling you what to do, but that's the beauty of Vanguard. The formations that I showed you, they'll be different with different cards. I think like anything that gets plus 5k, like let's go back to like the L formation, for example. Let's get rid of this shit. Like something like this, right? Maybe we take out the Surgeon. But if like anything gives like a plus 5k, if this 5k is like either here, or there's like another one, there's like 2 5ks, right? This formation suddenly becomes like not really guardable as well. Like in something like this, you need a 15k here, and then you're like no guarding the Vanguard, and then you're praying, right? You're just praying. So I think the L formation, like now you learn how to give L's to your opponent. This is how it is. L's and N's. The end formation as well. Most of like like the ones which require you to like commit a lot of cards on the board, usually only possible if your deck is built that way. So if it's like a Kera deck and you're Kera piling, these are probably Thegrias. These boards are usually only possible if your deck just kind of calls a lot. If your opponent is like committing everything from their hand to do something like this, then yeah, I think their game is going to be pretty bad unless they get a consecutive like draw triggers or something in their damage zone, because they wouldn't have cards in their hand. These are really only possible via effects and triggers and things that just call each other. So yeah, I don't think you really have to worry about that. The only things that you're going to really have to worry about is just the L's. Maybe even like I have to just think like these 5Ks usually are just ways to kind of like force out 15k shields, make it really annoying for you to guard. 5k on the Vanguard circle, very tough. Something like this is actually not that bad. Like if you see this, and like I think our original discussion was quickly like just no guard the first attack, and then you can kind of evaluate how it goes. Sometimes you can just like shut down full attacks there, or you can just like guard one, then kind of take the Vanguard and then just guard the other one, kind of thing. There's a few ways to do it, but like if this is like a +5, if these have +5k for some reason, then you can just take the first one. It kind of shuts down everything, right? It's like the same thing. So I don't know. A lot of this will come down to what deck you're playing, what you're playing against. If you're playing against like a deck that you cannot guard when they reach a certain part of the game, maybe you do want to guard it. Maybe the inefficient guarding early is important, because no matter how many cards you guard later, throw down later on, you're not going to be able to guard anyway, right? So that's something you have to think about. That's the beauty of the game. You need to know your matchups, learn your matchups, and just like kind of work around with what you have, especially the early game, because the early game you don't have that many resources. So that's kind of it. Have fun talking in the comments. I'm sure a lot of people will talk a bunch of random stuff. There's a lot of theory, I guess, when it comes to early game theory. It's like it's kind of like chess, except more random, you know. Yeah, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time. All right, bye.